Welcome to Not a Roofers podcast, where we discuss roofing
without all the jargon. I'm Breianna.
And I'm Charity.
And this is today's episode. Hello! Before we get into today's episode, Charity and I have an announcement. If you didn't already notice, we did not post the last couple of posting days, and that is because we have made the decision to switch our podcast from posting twice a week to once a week. This change comes because of a couple of things, but the biggest reason is that we believe by posting once a week, we can have maybe some longer episodes, more in-depth episodes for you as our listeners. It means that our guest episodes will be able to be longer and we'll be able to present information, I think, more in-depth and just better. We hope you enjoy this change. We're looking forward to what this change means for the podcast. So join us on Wednesdays from here on out. And for now, we will get into today's episode.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Not a Roofers podcast.
You may be super confused if you've been around for a while why we would have an episode about what you can DIY on your roof or about DIY on your roof in general. Because if you've been with us, you know we tell you not to for very good reason. But today we're here to talk about some of the things that you can DIY on your roof.
But should you?
So, Charity, what can you DIY on your roof?
Well, we're going to start with the simple one. You can clean out your own gutters, but that's a job that people don't actually like doing. I know I don't like doing it. My gutters need to be cleaned out, and I haven't done it yet because I don't want to. I'd rather pay someone to do it.
Nice.
But you can do it yourself. Pay someone if you can, but you can absolutely clean out the gutters yourself. And the reason why I'm going to say that one's okay is because you're not actually climbing up onto your roof. Usually you're just setting up a ladder and climbing up on the ladder and cleaning the gutter out from the ladder. So there is no way, unless you're not careful, to hurt your roof and cause more damage.
So maybe we should get into some of the other things you can 100% DIY and our feelings on it. So one of the things you can DIY is you can check. Well, actually, no. This is one that I'd say that you could probably do on your own. You could realize you have a leak and try and find where it's leaking from. If you have the agency to do so, you're like, oh, well, I have a water stain in my kitchen from a roof leak, and you want to investigate where that is coming from. Go ahead.
I would still be careful on that one, though, because leaks are not always super visible. There's a lot of times that you get up on your roof, you look, and you're like, everything looks fine. And that's where I'd be like, okay, don't start pulling shingles off.
No. But if you have the agency and the want and the drive to go ahead and try and play detective on your roof so that when you call a professional, hopefully that you can tell them like, oh, this is what I think it is. This is where it is. This is what I've already gathered as information. It's just going to help them. But as Shirley said, if it is not super visible, you're like, I have no idea. Just like, stop. Don't go farther. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 because you could just make the problem worse. So that'd be another that I'd be like, you know what? Go ahead. You can DIY that to a point. Some of the other things that you can do on your own, I'm not saying you should, but you can, is you can secure curled shingles on your roof. So if you are, for whatever reason, up on your roof, or you're cleaning out the gutters, or you have a drone randomly and you fly the drone out there and you see that some of your shingles are curled, you can try to re-secure them by going to like Home Depot or Lowe's or some home improvement store and getting some like asphalt roofing cement stuff. I don't really know what it would be. Well, that's one brand. That's a brand. I'm just saying, like, if you go to a home improvement store, I'm sure they have many options. And get something where you can like brush it on and kind of like glue your shingles back down.
Just don't get it on yourself because it doesn't come off.
So that's something that like you can do. You could do. Do we recommend it?
No, not really.
What are some other things, Charity? Do you have any other things?
Technically, you can DIY your flashing. I do. I
How do you feel about that?
I do not suggest DIYing your own flashing, and this one's for a few reasons. Um, as many of you know, I recently did help install the flashing on my roof. But I had a professional up there with me. I was not doing it myself, nor would I have known what to do if I was up there myself. The previous owners did it themselves and failed, which is why we had to fix it. But also, it's hard to get the materials to complete that job, and not necessarily hard to get the materials, but hard to get good materials. The flashing that we get put up on our roof is very thin and flimsy. It is not what we would recommend using, but it was the only thing we could get. That's all that we could get.
It's a good side note of the fact that what you're going to find in a hardware store like Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards isn't going to be the same quality as what a roofing contractor will have access to. Because roofing contractors, I know we use ABC Supply. As just a general consumer, you can't just walk into places like ABC Supply.
You're limited in your resources.
Even if you somehow had the option to go to ABC Supply or somewhere else, a lot of times it's in bulk. And if you just need a little thing, like Charity, you just need a little bit for your chimney, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need to buy a whole bunch. And so it just doesn't make sense. Let's see some of the other things. If you randomly have the option to replace damaged or missing shingles, let's say you got your roof done and for whatever reason the company left you with some extra shingles. I don't know if that happens, or you somehow can get this like extra shingles. You could go up and replace them yourself, and
But please do your research really, really well, because you could install them incorrectly, and then you'll end up spending more money getting it fixed.
Yeah. So those are just like the main things that you like. If you really absolutely felt like you had another option, like you could do them yourself. But let's get into the reality of it. Do we recommend this? No. Why don't we recommend this?
Well, for a few reasons. It could actually cause more damage, and so you'll have to spend more money to get it fixed professionally. And then another reason to note is that if you do repairs yourself and it fails, and you need your insurance company to help cover the repair of it, if you don't have proof that a professional contractor fixed it first and then it failed, they're not going to cover it. So I know my insurance company doesn't cover my roof because it was not installed professionally when it was installed 10 years ago.
Yeah. There's also, besides insurance companies, a lot of roofs, if you, let's say you got a new roof and then you decide you're going to go like fix the flashing for whatever reason on your own, that can void your warranty on that roof. I mean, I would get to the point to say like practically all new roofs have a warranty of some sort. And if you do that, you are most likely voiding your warranty. And so in the future, if it comes to a storm or something fails on the product itself that would have been covered by the warranty, they can completely void it because you went ahead and did work on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So, safest option, the one DIY you can do, clean your gutters. It's a good thing. Leave everything else to the professionals, though. Really, when you think about time and money, it may seem like a lot to call someone out to look at it, but you can also really have that stress taken off of you, because if you're calling a professional, they know what they're doing. They should be able to fix it. In the case of Roofmedics, if there's one of our customers where there's been a problem for a long time, they've had lots of companies look at it, and Roofmedics is still working on that same problem, and we're not stopping until it's finished. We're not stopping until that problem is fixed. It's an extreme case, of course, but if you work with a trusted contractor, they're going to work and work and work until that problem is fixed, because a happy customer is the best customer.
Should be our slogan. A happy customer is the best customer.
I'll make sure to pitch that in the future. So that is just our couple of thoughts on DIYing your roof. So the point you should take away is do not DIY your roof. The end.
Always ask yourself, should I? I can, but should I?
Well, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for joining us. If you have anything that you wanted to talk about, a question about roofing, a question about anything related to roofing, really, please let us know. You can reach us on our social medias at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or YouTube. You can also email us at marketing@roofmedics.com. While you're at it, you might as well follow us on our social media accounts. We hope you learned something today, and namely that you learned you should not DIY your roof. That's what we want you to take away from this. Until next time,
Bye.
that brings us to the end of today's episode. If you've been loving what you're hearing, make sure to press the subscribe button so you get notified anytime we post a new episode. Episodes come out on Wednesdays. Please share this podcast with a friend, rate us, or leave a review. All of those help us to reach more listeners so that everybody can join us and learn more about the roofing industry as we go along on this journey. If you don't already follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or YouTube, I will put all of our information in the show notes below. Feel free to contact us with any questions or ideas you have and would love for us to talk about on the podcast. I hope you have a great day, and we will see you next time.